176 to 126. Indian Contract Act. With the passage of time, growth of trade and commerce, it was realized that the law contained there insufficient. Section 76 to 126 of Indian Contract Act was repealed and Sale of Goods Act 1930. Contract Act. Whole India came into force on 1st July 1930 by virtue of Jammu Kashmir. Reorganization Act 2019. The excess state Jammu Kashmir was omitted. Section 176 to 126 of Indian Contract Act. The Act deals with the sale of movable goods only. Law related to immovable property is contained in Transfer of Property Act. Immovable. Contract only movable goods. Therefore, all the principle of law of contract is applicable in the case of sale of goods also. Section 3 of the Act makes it clear, provided that unrepealed provision of Indian Contract Act will be applicable to the contract for the sale of goods. However, those provisions which are Section 4, Sale and Agreement to Sale. For defense, sale and agreement to sale. According to Section 4.1, contracts of sale goods is a contract whereby the transfers or agree to transfer the property in goods to the buyer for a price. Seller transfer or agrees. From the definition given under Section 4.1, in a contract of sale or property is transferred either immediately or is agreed to be transferred in future. Where under contract of sale the property in the goods is transferred from the seller to buyer, contract is called a sale contract. Sale and agreement to sell. Contract of sale of goods is a contract whereby the seller transfer or agree to transfer the transfer of property in the goods is to take place to some condition thereafter to be fulfilled. Contract is called agreement to sell. Sale and agreement to sell. Buyer becomes the owner of goods. He acquires just in rem. It is simply a contract. There is no conveyance of the property. Buyer only has just in personam. Risk of loss passes to buyer. Sale. Buyer becomes the owner of goods. He acquires just in rem. It is simply a contract. Agreement to sell. There is no conveyance of property. Just in personam, just in rem. Risk of loss passes to buyer. Seller remains the owner of the goods and therefore take all the risks. Seller. Agreement to sell. Buyer. Property passes to the buyer immediately. Property transferred to the buyer on a future date. Since the ownership has the seller is entitled to sue for the price of the goods. In the case of breach of the agreement to sell, the seller is entitled to damages. Essential of sale. Essential of sale. Contracting, price money, subject matter, parties seller, buyer. Price money considerations. Contracting, parties seller and buyer. Subject matter, goods, existing future. Following are the essential for sale. Contracting parties. Sale is a bilateral contract. Seller and buyer are different persons. Person who sells or agrees to sell. Buyer means person who buys or agrees to buy. Sell the property in goods has to pass from one person to another. Person cannot sell his goods to himself. Supreme Court held the sale contemplates a seller and purchaser. If a person revalue his goods and shows a higher value in books, rights of money considerations. The consideration in sale of goods is called price, section 2(1). Goods existing features. Parties, seller or buyer. Fixed by the contract or may be left to be fixed in manner agreed or determined by course of dealing between the parties. Sales and hire purchase. Sale is different. Sale is different from contract of hire purchase. A contract of hire purchase is contract of hire by which the hirer is granted an opinion to buy or not. Element of sale which fructifies when the option to purchase is exercised. Existing goods. These are the goods owned or possessed by seller at the time of sale. Future goods. According to section 2(6), future goods means goods to manufacture or produce or acquired by the seller after the making of the contract of sale. Sale of hire purchase. Agreement to buy in sale. Hirer is not buyer. Here merely has an option to buy. A buyer becomes owner of a goods and has all rights of an owner. A hirer is only a belly of goods. If a buyer sells the goods to third party, then that party will get a good title. If a hirer assigns his right to third party, then such person won't get a good title. In case buyers refuse to buy, he can be compelled to buy the goods. The buyer becomes owner of the goods and has all rights of an owner. A hirer is only a belly of goods. Specific goods, unascertain goods. These are goods which are identified and agreed upon at the time when contract of sale is made. Unascertain goods. These are goods which are identified and agreed upon at the time when contract of sale is made. These are the goods which are not identified time when contract is made. Specific goods.